that in a short amount of time. In fact, this example was done in 3 weekends. So it's a real world use case of taking AI-enabled storytelling to the world. And just a little bit about me, happy to connect. You can look for me on LinkedIn or use this QR code. My experience is in technology and business consulting. I'm also the founder of Founder Buddies, which is a peer-to-peer connection platform and set of programs for founders. I also have my company Orange SFM, where I do my consulting. I'm the founder of Women in Exploration, as well as running a research project called Investing in Kindness. I'm a director at Founder Institute Germany. I'm an executive coach and a startup advisor. Today, we will talk about proof of concept versus MVP versus your V1, what the catalyst was for this particular project, the problem I am trying to solve, the timeline that I did this in, the idea of creating the proof of concept, what integrations that I did and did not use, and then I'll give you a live demo, and then we can talk about the key learnings and go into a Q&A. For those of you that are not in startups or in software development, I kind of like to put these into 3 buckets where we have that proof of concept, which is that basic model that can test the core idea and make sure that it's technically and functionally viable. Then we move into the MVP, or a minimal viable product. People might also want a minimal lovable product. And the idea here is the same. It's a simplified product that has enough features that will allow you to solve a real life problem that a user has or a customer, and then gather feedback. And that will bring you into your version 1 or your 1.0. And this is more complete, and you will take everything that you learned in creating that proof of concept and that MVP or minimal lovable product and pull together into this V1 that you have. The catalyst for this project was a hackathon. The month prior, I did a hackathon where I built something called Curiosity Compass, which was using the Perplexity API to do some research for exploration. And it was super fun. And I was like, okay, I want to do another hackathon. And I saw this Bolt.new hackathon. And for me, the goal was, of course, to have fun, but also I had never used a low-code, no-code platform before, and I was really curious. So when I get asked about this from the founders that I advise, I wanted to be able to have real-life experience that I could share and say, this is what worked well, these are the challenges to look out for. And for me, the product I decided to work on was a story preservation platform that helps people capture and save meaningful life stories through video, audio, and text. So we talk about, why are you building this? So even though people value sharing life stories, most never do because of the process. It feels overwhelming, it's time consuming, and unclear where to begin. My original inspiration was from my project Love Is. I interviewed people a decade ago about how they define love, which love they value the most, and why. And in doing this, I did every interview face-to-face. And this was a lot of traveling, a lot of work, because I interviewed over 600 people. And capturing the stories was absolutely amazing. I loved every minute of the interview process, but actually processing that information was very time consuming. And as a non-funded solo person, it was very, very difficult. So how do I make this more accessible? That is the challenge I'm trying to solve. And the solution for me was a platform that leverages AI to make the process scalable and accessible. And how I did this was in the 3 weekends, as once I saw this idea for the hackathon, I said, okay, I actually came up with 10 different ideas that I had in my mind, and I decided this is the one I want to focus on. So I started researching the user needs and really understanding how to create this product based on what I already knew and how I could use technology to do so. So I designed those core flows. Then I used a lot of time and a lot of brain work, as well as 10 million Bolt credits to build my proof of concept in the first weekend. And doing that, I also did integrations with Supabase, OpenAI, and Stripe. Then I moved on to my second weekend where I integrated that with GitHub, allowing a software engineer to access that code outside of the Bolt platform and be able to review and see what kind of bugs I couldn't solve within the no-code platform. I, on the other hand, went over and started building potential integrations with AI interviewers. So I used ElevenLabs to build AI interviews for voice and Tavus for video. So that was my first time working in either of those platforms and working with AI interviewers as well. Then moving into the third and final weekend of the project, we polished the features, decided what we wanted. I built those final pages. So I had the about, the FAQs, and I also explored those integrations to make that decision and then submitted the product. So the proof of concept, the core flow, was that input of the story, text, voice, or AI interview. AI enhanced narrative. So once we have that information, we'll process it and give you something that's more polished. Then we can also add visuals where you can actually upload visuals, or we can create them using AI, and then you can export your final products. The integrations that I worked with was OpenAI, Stripe, Tavus, Supabase, and GitHub, and I held off on my integration with ElevenLabs. And now I'm going to give you a live demo so you can see what the product I created looks like. Can you see my screen?
Yep.
Okay. So here you can see the draft name is Memorally, as I will actually create a different name for this product once we go in our V1, but you can see that this is turning memories into timeless stories. It's fairly simple. You start your story. You'll notice that I disabled my video, and that was one of the things that I learned is it was too buggy for me to go live with or publish for this hackathon, so I did not use the video version with this MVP. I kept the audio and my text, and you'll see here, if we go into the audio version, you have the option to do guided prompts or no prompts. So let's go with the no prompts. You can start creating, you name your story. Now, when we look at these writing styles, each one of these is a different style. After you give your audio, how do you want it enhanced? The Memorally standard I designed in a documentary style, more of a way I would write. But then I added some more for fun. So maybe you want it poetic. Maybe you want something rhyming, Elizabethan, riddles, haiku, or movie trailer voice. So this will affect the output of your product here. You get to record. You have up to 20 minutes for audio, and once video, up to 10 minutes for video. Then you can upload your photos. You will click process that story, and it's going to go process it and then come back to you with questions. It'll say, this information would help enhance the story. So it'll ask you questions, and then you can input those in text. Now, when you look at starting the story here with text, let's say we pick guided prompts. Now, remember, this was inspired by my Love Is interview. So I know prompting people and helping them tell a story is really useful. So if you don't know what story you want to tell, you can come here and select something. In this example, let's pick a love and relationships. It'll tell you what questions you're going to be prompted with, and then you can start creating, and you can type them in here. Now, how do we see these stories? So this is my dog's profile, Sona. So we'll go to Sona's dashboard and see what kind of story Sona has. Now, if we look at Sona's gotcha day, when she told that story, you're going to see that it was in a written story. We selected the memory standard style. The date was created on 6/30, and she also uploaded photos. You can see the enhanced version. You can also see the original version that was put in. You can download any of this information, either with the PDF with the pictures, or copy the text or download the text. You can also see the photos that were uploaded associated with this story, and you can also see AI enhanced pictures. Now, the way you create those is here, show the AI generator. This allows you to both create a picture based on the story, or you can upload your own pictures and have them stylized. In both cases, there's a drop down that allows you to pick the style that you like, and based on that, different pictures will come up. Now, we also talked about that you can do an AI interview. What that means is that you have an AI interviewer here. So if you click here, it'll allow you, since we can't do double videos, I won't click on that, but it will prompt you in your questions, and you can select a specific cue that you want. I want to talk about love. I want to talk about memories from my childhood, or it can be open and it will go back and forth. And again, you have 10 minutes to do that interview. Now, the way that works is if you have that conversation, it will be transcribed, and you will see here that it is transcribed. And then we have a different prompt, because when you take information from an interview, it's very different than a written story in the first person. Now we have this Memorally Tavus style, which will enhance that story and put that here for you to view. Again, you can do the generating of pictures, and some of the things that, we push forward from the original prompt that I put together is making sure that we can edit these, making sure that we can edit and save. So you can edit any of these stories. So you have that AI enhanced version, but maybe you don't like some of the things that it says, you can edit that. You can also delete any of your stories, and you are able to see all of them in one place. Again, note you can see these tagged: audio, video, text only, audio, and the Tavus interviews. So I'm going to go back to my presentation just to give you a little bit of our lessons learned. So what was really interesting is that I used 10 million Bolt credits in the first weekend, and that was the free amount that we were given for the hackathon. And I bought myself a few more to be able to finish up after I figured out how to learn this product. And when we look at what Bolt did versus what a software engineer did, so starting on weekend 2, Bolt created 23,000 lines of code for this product. And when I was giving it updates, trying to solve some of the bugs, it only deleted 1,800 lines, versus when I went to solve some bugs and enhance with a software engineer after my proof of concept was complete, we added 11,000 and deleted 8,600. And you see, it's a very interesting difference just to keep in mind as these products evolve. I'm sure they will even get better. My key learnings here is the proof of concept speed. You can build a working proof of concept quickly if you already have the idea in mind and well-defined, which I did. And what I tried to do is, I noticed they had a one prompt challenge. So I was like, oh, that sounds interesting. I've never used this product. Can I do a one prompt? So I worked very hard, maybe up to 10 hours, really defining my product very well, and then created a prompt based on that and put it in to see what I could create. Of course, it wasn't able to create everything, but it was very interesting to practice to see how that would work in the system. But having that idea can help you really obviously speed things up. Technical expertise, even a no-code platform, I think a technical background improves your decisions and structures. I have worked in technology for almost 3 decades. I've worked on building software, many types of software. And I think that it is useful to understand how to build good software to be able to correct what might go astray, let's just say. And if you don't have that experience, definitely pulling in an expert to look at the code is important. And that is that third thing: risk management. If you're handling any user data, any third-party integrations, never, ever launch without a code review by a software engineer that really understands any of these risks that you might be getting into. And I think that's something that we always need to keep top of mind. And so we'll go into a Q&A, and happy to answer any questions. And just as a reminder, absolutely happy to connect. And this is me.
Excuse me. Thank you, Amanda. Anybody have any questions? Or is anybody working on an app they'd like to share?
David, this is Kendra.
Hey, Kendra.
Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Hey, Amanda. So not really a question, but just wanted to say that that would be a writer's dream to be able to use that. Because I mean, it certainly will, I should say, maybe not every writer, but some of the more techie writers, that would be that's a pretty cool product.
Thanks, Kendra. I think there's a lot of use cases, and I just got off a call before this talking about the use case in exploration. So I'm an explorer, and I know it's really difficult for us to do our expedition logs, and it's time consuming, and you're super busy. And one of the next releases will be for being able to upload that information. So you can go and record it, either video or audio in the field, or as a writer, if you're just out shopping and you're like, oh, I have this great idea, and you just speak it into your audio in your phone, you can upload it into the product and it'll process that for you. And also, as you saw, you can also put pictures or have it create pictures for you. Now, if you're writing something, let's say, and you want it to create pictures for you, putting that information in the recording is going to help make those pictures even better, right? So thinking about the end in mind at the beginning will help you. So when I was doing this fake profile for my dog, I know that about the AI. It doesn't know what my dog looks like unless I tell it. So I would say, hi, my name is Sona. I am a black dog with white on me. I'm half Alba Bull and I'm half, American Bulldog. So now you'll notice when it creates the picture for that story, it is going to look correct, right? So taking those things into mind as a writer would be really important, whether it's a highly technical piece or even a fun story that you just want to build.
Yeah, because I was thinking one of the things that I do that now in terms of, but with my iPhone, I'll put information like in a memo or whatever, right? And so just being able to take those notes, I think would be great to kind of throw them in there as well. So yeah, it's good stuff.
I like it.
Thank you, Kendra. Anyone else, whether you want to buy Amanda's new product or just if you're working on an app and have any ideas of how you can use AI?
While waiting for questions, absolutely come at me. One of the things I think is really interesting with building these products, as I had mentioned the month before, I decided to work with Perplexity, and really understanding how to prompt these products is a fascinating learning journey. So building prompts for OpenAI, which I'm used to doing for years now, is very different than writing prompts for Perplexity. And then when it comes to building the interviewers, so I built multiple interviewers with ElevenLabs, and then I built them with Tavus. And again, very different the way I would prompt them and how I interact. And when I built my ElevenLabs interviewer, I actually put in a bunch of tests. And one of the things I asked it to do is not act like a therapist, not assign feelings to people, like all these things. And then I put this in the tests and I did interviews, and it failed every time. So you have to keep in mind, you have control over your prompt, but you don't have control over the LLM, right? It is what it is. And so you can test on all the different models that you have to get your best, but at the end, I decided not to go live with that audio interview because it was failing every test that I gave it. No matter how hard I worked with prompting, the prompts were correct. And you tell it what to do and what not to do. And while it was testing itself, it said, I failed, right? So these are the things to keep in mind. And they will keep evolving and getting better. But if you're putting this out to the public, you just want to know what you're doing. And I see a couple questions.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you. Gayatri. And I'm gonna
Yeah.
ask
So, Amanda, you have picked all of these different technologies. How did you go about knowing how to choose them, right? There's like tons out there. How did you know that you had to pick Tavis? How did you figure that one out?
Yeah, it's a great question. For me, it was because I had free credits because of a hackathon. So I think, Bolt did a great job, marketing genius, really getting people to use their product because I hear about all these products all the time and I want to use them. I want to have a reason to use them, and I just don't have time to test products. And so I saw a hackathon and I was like, okay, this gives me a reason. It's date night. So let's do a hackathon, and this is going to be great. And what products did they offer integrations with where I got free credits to test? And Tavus was one of them, and ElevenLabs was one. But I will say that I was very interested in doing a different type of interview. Instead of using a human, I wanted to use a cartoon interviewer to kind of make it more fun and clearly AI versus like, is it confusing that it's a person, but it's not a person? So I wanted to use a cartoon character. And I researched all of the interview apps that I could find out today, and I couldn't find that, right? So I saw a gap in the market of if I want to have a cute dog, do these interviews, I can't really do that easily right now. So I stuck with Tavus, which allowed me to select from a library of interviewers. I also could create one using myself, but I decided not to do that because, again, you don't have full control of what it's going to say and do, and I'm not comfortable with that. So I can use a fake person, and if they do something a little stupid, it's really less dramatic for me personally, like emotionally, than if fake Amanda says something ridiculous.
Thank you. That makes sense.
Yeah, of course.
Thanks for the question, Valerie. You're up.
Hi, yeah, this is like a really cool project that you made, but I was just curious about, like, I know there's a lot of people that are worried about AI creating photos and images. So I guess I was wondering, because like they think it's stealing artwork from people and such. So I suppose I was wondering, like, how does it create the images? Like, how is your AI creating them? And is it like potentially stealing work from people, or how does that all work?
Yeah, of course. I did not build the AI that builds the photos, right? And I would never intentionally steal anything, but this is going through OpenAI. I tried different models on how I would create those photos. As you know, there's lots of different large language models that we could just say, okay, I'm going to use DALL-E or I'm going to use Chat GPT 4.0. And in this case, we use Chat to create that, and it is using your picture. So you will upload a photo and then it will stylize that. And the prompt is basically trying to keep it as like of your picture as possible, but stylizing it in the way that you select. But when you generate a picture, it is generating again from your words. So it's using ChatGPT to process the information that you have input and then creating a picture for you based on your words. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. But I do think it's always important to think about the risks of how these models are trained. So it's always important to keep that top of mind. I've given a couple of talks on the future of creativity and what does that mean for art and artists. And, as a photographer myself, I love art. And do I like these models or not? And you can go in either direction. And I personally really love pressing the button. I love that about photography where I click and I create a photo, but I also love creating prompts and creating art using these tools in the best possible way that we can. But it's good to keep all these risks top of mind and what this might mean for lawmaking and the future.
Awesome. Mike Brown, go for it.
You're muted, Mike.
I'm trying. How's that?
There we go.
There you-
Perfect.
So, what platform did you use for your interactive avatar?
That's Tavus. So there were a few things that they gave us with free credits to create. And so, as I said, ElevenLabs they used for voice. And I built the interactive voice interviews with that. And then Tavus was the one they gave us for our video. And as I said, I chose not to create a video of myself. I used an out of the box selection. I tried a few, I tested several, and I built maybe 3 or 4, and then I selected one based on how well it did. I tested it not only in English, I actually tested it in German as well, not because I speak German. My partner speaks German, and we tried that. It's really interesting because ideally this platform will be used globally in many languages, and it'll allow people to do interviews in the language that they're comfortable with. And that's another thing I learned from doing my Love Is project. I did interviews in languages I don't speak because they didn't speak English. So whether I had a paper that I would read off of a language that I was somewhat familiar with, but you can't ask follow-up questions when you don't understand the answer and you don't actually know what they said until later. This product will allow the AI interviewer to understand you in your language. And I think that is really exciting thing for the future.
Were you able to use a non-real avatar for interactive?
No, and that was the challenge that we had talked about when I had asked you, do you know any platform that allows us to create a cartoon avatar for interviews? And I have not found one yet that I could create easily. And for me, guys want to build one for me, I'll be super excited. I would like to have either a dog or a panda do my interviews because I think it would be fun.
Because I've used HeyGen to do interactive, but again, you can't use non-human characters.
Right, exactly
We've
right.
talked about
So
this.
let's hope that it will be out there in the future soon. I mean, as you guys can see, this is rapidly evolving. It's pretty incredible that you can see week to week this technology improving. And so I'd say in our near future, we will have adorable dogs doing interviews.
Well, I've used HeyGen Avatar 4 for doing that too. That you can't, not for interactive, but for doing the videos, you can use anything. I've had talking dogs and things like that.
Yeah, it's interesting what we can do to create the videos, but it's that interactive piece where the future is still really evolving, and I'm excited to see how that gets pulled together.
Because I've used HeyGen for the interactive, but their public avatars for using are very stiff.
Huh.
And
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it's kind of confusing to the user, what is this real person or not? And it brings up a lot of discussion.
I think that's a really good point. And, you're not fooling anyone, right? And I
Right.
think telling them up front is really useful, and it makes people feel more comfortable, in my opinion. So when I have my interactive AI agent come, hi, I am your AI interviewer, right? For me, it's important to say, I am an AI interviewer, and not me, but my AI interviewer have that set up front, and that will allow people to say, okay, this is an AI and I'm doing an interview with them, versus like, this is sort of real, right? Let's just make it really clear what this is and how it's helpful for you.
I've used text come up saying simulated human.
Yes, the simulated human is doing the interview.
Hey Amanda, this is Debjani. I have a
Yeah.
question. The question is like when this AI interviewer comes, does it have like already a predefined set of questions that it has to ask, or is it like really interactive? Like it
It
picks
is,
on answer from the person and then reinvents
yes.
some.
It is both of those things. So the way it's set up is to ask you if you want to work through those predefined questions as a framework, but it will also ask you follow-up questions based on what you say. It will also allow you to free talk, which means if you don't select any of the predefined items, you can tell any type of story. So an example would be if you select childhood memories, it has an idea of what the structure is to ask you, but will go off based on what you're talking about. But if you say, I just want to talk about this story about this amazing puppy that I met at the grocery store, and you can tell that story, And it might ask you a follow-up question as why were puppies at the grocery store? And you're like, oh, I forgot to tell you that. The reason why puppies were at the grocery store, right? It was a special adoption event and it was incredible, right? So whatever that is, it will ask you questions based on the story that you say.
Got it. And based on the answer, does it also throw up like what kind of personality are you? Like if somebody asked you to rate 5 people you interviewed, like what does it tell you back in terms of
So
personality?
this proof of concept, I am not asking it to tell me the personality of any of the people it's interviewing. However, when I was building the one for audio only, I did put tests in to ask it if it agitated the interviewee. Because in this example, when I put tests in, how did they feel when they were doing the interview? Was it happy or sad? And that way I can understand if that audio interviewer was doing a good job. And as I said, I decided not to go live with that version because it wasn't passing the test that I put forward. But I will continue to iterate and make a version that I feel comfortable with going live with, because I do believe that these interactive interviews are absolutely a great enhancement when it comes to storytelling, because some people are really willing to tell a story with one question, right? So with my investing in kindness interviews, I interview people all over the world as well. And I've already done over 20 countries, many different types of jobs. Some people I ask one question and they will talk for 20 minutes and it's very easy, right? You just hear their story flow. And other people are more reserved or introverted or shy or just not used to talking about themselves. And it's really helpful to ask the right questions. So instead of just typing it in or recording on your phone, this allows you to tell a story that you might not know how to tell, but you have that story inside you. And so that interactive version is really helpful.
Got it. Yeah, it's very helpful. Like, I would love to know how you innovate, like in the sense with this, like what are the different, the intelligence you're getting about the person who is getting interviewed? Because that's what the hiring manager is looking for. Like, are they looking for a great communicator? Are they looking for somebody who is very technical, might not be great at communicating? Like, it's those zones of personalities which would really help the hiring manager. I do a risk and compliance, so I mean that's where the interest is, right? Can I hire the right person for a risk job? Which is different than so many, other variations of job. But yeah, I'll probably love to know more. Maybe I'll connect you up on LinkedIn.
Yeah, definitely connect. And based on what I've learned, creating an interview agent to be able to test these things and look at them from very specific perspectives is something I am aware of and can do since I did it in this style. But you can also do that when interviewing for jobs as well.
Yep. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Anyone else? Questions? All right. So Amanda, thank you. And I'm thinking like the Tuesday night AI session, maybe we should turn into more vibe coding and some of this stuff now topic. We'll talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think learning new products and having a reason to learn them is so helpful. Now that I've learned all of these new products, when I advise my startups, I can share with them the good, the bad, and the ugly. And also they can see the journey that I'm doing to build this product and what I would and would not recommend and why, versus just saying, oh, I can recommend a product because a friend told me about it, it's really cool. Now I have these real life use cases. And, pulling back on working with Perplexity, now I have a real product that I built with Perplexity that I personally use. So not only did I know how to build it, I use the product and I can see why I had to iterate so many times on building that prompt and building that system. The same with using something like Bolt. And so I do want to even find more hackathons that force me to use more products to learn, because the more, and I believe we already had a question, like, how do you pick which product? Give me a reason to try your product, then I can decide if I'm going to pick it. And I think it's a great marketing to give me a reason to use your product by giving me free credits.
For sure. And I think we can leverage WITI as a community and just make connections and let's go to proactively to some of these companies too, that I'm sure will connect us, and maybe we'll do a WITI hackathon or something. We'll partner with CSA or something. Make it all happen. Okay, well, Amanda, amazing. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.